Believe it or not, Fox Entertainment is split into three sections. Daytime, which is LIES, prime time, which is LIES to the power of infinity, and then occasionally at the weekend, it's like a new news station comes in and takes over. Eric Shawn is on at the weekend, and he's always what you would call a journalist. I know, a journalist at Fox Entertainment. Unbelievable. He had a buffoon on for the Republican Party and told him straight, there's no evidence of a conspiracy theory with regards July the 13th. The only problem I would say is those people that probably watch Fox Slime Time, etc., probably don't watch it the weekend, so don't get the truth ever. But it was interesting.
I mean, it seems that the dominoes, there's just so many areas of lapses. First, they got that roof not secured. It's a direct line of sight. It's not that far away from where the president was speaking. The local sniper team, the reports say they were inside the building, not outside. You know, what are they doing inside the building? As you just pointed out, 5 p.m., reports of a suspicious person to the Secret Service. They lose track of him. 5:52, apparently they see him, but at 6:02, he's on the rooftop, and the president, as you said, was allowed to go on the roof. What do you think? What do you think this fell apart?
Well, I know what's feeding it right now is the thought of a conspiracy. And as you saw at the convention where she cowardly ran from several senators, one of them was my senator, Marsha Blackburn from Tennessee, she should have been running towards them and answering these questions. That's why I wanted to have the hearing on Monday and just say, forget the convention and let's get on with this. They had everything they needed to know in 48 hours or less. I can guarantee you they know what the kid had for breakfast that morning. This is just a continuation of this bumbling of this administration. I mean, it's at the top. You got a president who's not coherent. It just goes down through the list.
Congressman, you just mentioned the word conspiracy. I mean, there's no evidence of a conspiracy, they say. They say that he's a lone 20-year-old, that there's no any indication of any type of conspiracy at all.
That's what they always say. They've said that on every one until they don't say that. Look, how does a 20-year-old kid get up on a rooftop, carry a ladder a half a mile, park with a high-powered rifle and 20 rounds of shells up on a roof, and nobody knows it? Somebody knew it. Somebody dropped the ball. We'll never know for sure because the kid's dead. And why did they wash the roof? You saw the drone footage. It's a crime scene. Why did they wash the roof? This thing stinks, and if it's not a conspiracy, they're sure making it tough for folks to think otherwise, because this administration has just bungled this thing from the start. And that's what I'm saying. That's what's going to fuel the fire of a conspiracy, because they won't answer our questions. And they continuously has lied to us, as I've stated on those 3 other issues. So, I doubt we'll ever get to the true bottom of it. I suspect she'll be gone eventually. But this just shows the lack of confidence that the public has in this administration.
Two points. Is it possible they washed the roof? Because they did process it correctly. And in terms of the ladder, he didn't use the ladder, we're told. He climbed up on an air conditioning unit. The ladder was found miles away with the bag by a guy who drove. A former Secret Service agent is saying this is a matter of staffing. Let me read you what he says in the Washington Post. This is a quote. I mean, it's an issue with their budget. He says, I hate to dumb it down this much, but it is a simple case of supply and demand. The requests get turned down routinely. A director has to finally come forward to say we are way understaffed and we cannot possibly continue with this zero-fail mission without a significantly bigger budget. I mean, look, Congressman, they've got to protect candidates. They've got to protect their families. They've got to protect foreign dignitaries. Are they understaffed? And this is an issue that they had to rely on the local police, and this didn't happen.
I don't buy it. You got 2 people really in this race for president. They didn't even allow Kennedy to have Secret Service protection. That's another question that needs to be answered. I've been demanding that for months. And now they'll run up and say we need more money. That's the Washington shuffle, brother. They got billions of dollars, just like the Pentagon. You go ask them, and they won't allow you to know what they're spending their money on because it's secret. It's a national security interest. All those things. They have enough money. They screwed up. They allowed a 20-year-old punk get up on a roof and outsmarted the best security service in the world.
Congressman Tim Burchett, looking forward to you asking those questions of the director tomorrow at this hearing. We'll be carrying it, of course, live here. Congressman, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, brother.
Of course. Arthel?
Well, one of the things with July the 13th is a lot of the discussion, a lot of the argument comes down to partisan in terms of if you're a Democrat, you go down that particular path. If you're a Republican, you go down the other path. That's the issue. That's the problem. In this particular scenario, it doesn't work like that. Some of the Trumpy Trumps were at one stage attacking the Secret Service. Why? Blaming DIE or whatever it is, diversity, blaming it on it. Just no. I have never understood anybody that does a job that puts us in a safer place. Even like whether it's doormen on a bar or a nightclub. You know, security people in a shop, in an airport. They're doing their job to make our lives safer, easier. Why anybody would seek to attack the Secret Service on political basis, I don't know. Then the other thing is, now, I do not agree with Eric Trump on hardly anything, but it's quite clear if there is any scenario with any company and something had gone wrong, the head of that company would face questions. Perhaps he may even have to resign, I don't know. So I do think the head of the Secret Service has questions to answer. Now, that isn't a political comment. That is a straightforward, if there was a scenario, I don't know, in a supermarket and the security guard hadn't done the job, the head of security would be called in. Why didn't they do the job? If you have a concierge where you live, if the CCTV was turned off or something, the head of security would be called in. So in this particular scenario, there is questions to be asked. The head of security has to answer what happened.
That's probably the right guy then. Yeah. The CCP doesn't like him.
Yeah, he's the right guy, 100%.
Yeah. Eric, I want to move on to this investigation that we are following. We're going to speak with Senator Ron Johnson in just a moment. And I know it was Ron Johnson's famous Southwest border encounters chart, which, of course, President Trump turned his head for, missing that bullet, which was just terrific. We'll get into that with the senator in a minute. He's also diving into this investigation into this security failure of the Secret Service. Has President Trump and others, I know you actually asked for more Secret Service detail for President Trump over the last 2 years. Can you tell us about that? Have you been requesting more security for President Trump?
Maria, I'm going to try and bite my tongue as much as humanly possible on this one, but it's obviously a sore subject. First of all, I love the men and women of the Secret Service. They were with me for almost 5 years, and I would take a bullet for them just as fast as they would take a bullet for me. Some of them are dear friends, personal friends, and they are incredible people. The people on that stage, they did their job, and they did it incredibly well, and they all would have died for my father. So let's put that on one side. The director of the Secret Service should resign in absolute disgrace. The fact that she can come out and lie to the American people, stop subpoenas as Mayorkas is trying to do right now, stop FOIA requests as Mayorkas is trying to do right now, and tell the American people that the roof, which had about a 1.5%, if there was any less, grade on that roof, you'd have bird baths on the top of it, right? I don't want to hear this. That a Secret Service sniper, and I know many of them, and they are the most in shape, phenomenal people, great people, biggest hearts you've ever seen in your entire life, couldn't navigate that roof. That's going to be the excuse that she's going to use. It's an absolute disgrace. The fact that the Biden administration could allow a former president and very likely a future president to take a bullet through the ear and there's no accountability and the person's still in their job just shows how disgraceful and inept the administration is. She should be out of a job. They should put somebody in there that's competent. The reality is, I don't care. This is not a political issue. There's no politics involved in this issue. Any former president that takes a bullet, that gets shot, that has blood running down their face, that goes down, the sign to the entire world of the weakness of America when something like this happens, and God forbid worse happen. I mean, we lost an amazing man that day. But God forbid it is unthinkable, Maria. It cannot happen. And the fact that she is still in her job is beyond. Yeah. And yes, it was logical. You and I have talked about this on your show before. I said that the Democrats would stop at absolutely nothing. They've tried to impeach him. They've tried to take him down. They've tried to break up our family. They've tried to bankrupt us. They've sent every subpoena at us. And I've said on this show before, I wouldn't be surprised if they tried something even worse, alluding to exactly what happened just over a week ago from today. and I was right. And they better get more security on him. They better get more security, and they better figure out what the hell the breakdown was. But to allow somebody on a roof 130 yards away with an AR-15, which is a chip shot, everybody who's even remotely competent in anything having to do with the shooting sports understands that this is a chip shot. It's unacceptable, and it can never happen again. And I just... It's such an infuriating time. I almost lost my father that day, you know, with my kids on my lap watching. This cannot happen in the United States of America. It cannot happen, Maria.
Just to be clear, you did ask for more security around your father, correct?
I have said several times that there should be more security around him because the people on the other side, and there are people in this country who would be willing to do the unthinkable. And I was proven right. And I'm not a tinfoil hat wearing guy. In fact, I'm probably a little bit more centrist than a lot of people would otherwise understand. But I've seen the way that they've attacked him. I've seen the way that they've tried to get him, and they would stop at absolutely nothing. And I want to see my father protected. And I think, you know, the entire democratic world wants to see, you know, their elected officials protected.
Eric, thank you so much. We appreciate you. Eric Trump joining us, Trump Organization Executive Vice President, and, of course, President Trump's son. And now this.